When is the right time to sign Michael Vick? That's what we're talking about today with special guest Andrew Brandt of the National Football Post. And Andrew, I want to tackle this from two different perspectives, both of which you're familiar with. One is the team side and one's the player side. So let's start with the team. Assuming the Eagles want to bring Michael Vick back as their quarterback going forward, what are the benefits to getting a deal done now during the season as opposed to waiting after the season and getting something done then?
Well, obviously you have a dynamic talent here. You have someone that has a 2-year deal that's expiring. So my sense is they're probably having discussions now with Joel Siegel, who's Michael Vick's agent, discussing what are the pros and cons in getting something done now, what's a better deal for them. They're looking at the marketplace, which has recently been established by players such as Donovan McNabb, ironically, and whether that's a marketplace to go off of, to use that as a floor for negotiating a deal. The Eagles are also looking at every negotiation now is clouded by the labor uncertainty, which I obviously talk a lot about. The CBA is up in less than 100 days. We're going to see what happens there. So the Eagles have to look at that. Is there going to be a cap? What is going to be the cap? What are going to be the rules? And the other thing the Eagles have to look at is protection for bonus recovery. The big case involving that involves someone named Michael Vick, where the Atlanta Falcons were unable to get back money even though the player exhibited willfully bad behavior. So the Eagles have to be careful. I'm not saying Vick's going to get in more trouble. He's certainly not going to go dogfighting again, but this is something they have to look at. If they give out a big contract to Michael Vick, what is going to be the recovery options? And of course, the franchise tag is something we have to talk about.
That's the team side, looking at it from Vick's perspective. Obviously, a little bit different there. He's playing well. He's been the talk of the league this season. If you're his agent advising him right now, are you trying to get something done right now, or do you want to see what that market is like in the offseason?
Well, I think you always have to listen, and I think he is Joel Siegel, Vick's agent, who's been with him a long time. I think he is listening. The Eagles and him have a good relationship. They did the #1 pick, Brandon Graham, together this summer. I think that's something they have to look at, and it's always free agency. When you look at it, it's what's the here and now or what's behind door number 2. And he, Vick, and his agent also have to look at the labor uncertainty. Is there going to be months, maybe even a year, before I get my big paycheck because no one knows what's going to happen? So maybe what's in front of me now, a bird in the hand, is going to be the thing to do. But again, ultimately it's going to come down to numbers and protection for the Eagles if something screws up. They have made a commitment to Kevin Kolb this offseason. That is not to be discounted. A lot of that money was paid out here in 2010. So there is a chance the Eagles could have a big payout to Vick in 2011, a small payment to Kolb in 2011, reversing what's gone on this year with a bigger payment to Kevin Kolb and a smaller payment to Michael Vick. So the Eagles have a lot of options, as does Vick. So it's an interesting situation.
And the last thing, you mentioned it earlier, just wanted to get to the franchise tag. What are the Eagles' options in terms of using that on Vick this offseason, and does it change from any previous years given the uncertainty?
It's obviously in play, and Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts do not have a deal. He's in the same situation, so the Colts are obviously banking on that franchise tag. It has to be in play in this negotiation, or negotiation to come over Michael Vick. The Eagles have that in hand. It's going to be anywhere from $15 to $17 million probably for a quarterback. But again, it's a one-step option towards maybe doing a deal later, and it's something the Eagles have in their back pocket should negotiations not go smoothly getting to that point. So that is definitely in play, the franchise tag.
We'll see how it goes during the season, whether negotiations start or even continue, or if it'll wait till after the season. Andrew will be writing about it on National Football Post. You can also follow him on Twitter at ADBrant. I'm Sheil Kapadia from Philly.com.